Hi guys, Big Monday here, and today I have a guide for you
The
on
battle
lane
begins.
positioning. Now, if you haven't
The
already seen it, go
time
back and
has
watch the
come,
teamfight positioning
and
video
will
I did. I will put a
soon
link
be
in the description
gone.
because there's a few things that you should probably take from that. The one I'll just briefly go over is situation change and when you should assess a situation changes. So basically, we are going to reassess our positioning every time the situation changes. So when we come into a lane,
Now,
what we need to do is, what do we consider our situation changes? And just like with the other video, just let me pause it so the bots don't like murder everything. Just like with the team fight one, if you were a pro, I would expect you to reassess that the situation has changed with sort of every time a hero hits a creep, every time someone's posture changes, and we'll talk about reading posture in a minute, but I don't want this video to become epically long, and I could probably make a 40-minute video on each lane and each role in each lane, and we would still not cover everything you need to consider. So I just want to sort of get you started on this and get you able to read postures and at least give you something to work on in terms of your positioning. So yeah, so you would change the situation changes when a hero's posture changes. Your situation would change when somebody hits a creep, but we're not a pro, so we can't expect somebody at like the 1.5k, even like 3-4k MMR to track situation change like a 7-8k and like pro players do. So we can't take it like every creep hit, every posture change, everything. So what we're going to look at in lane, we're going to consider our situation has changed when our posture changes significantly. And what I mean by significantly is, like, for example, you would see, if you imagine sort of a scale of sort of aggression to defensive, if you're a pro, I would expect you to notice sort of this much change, yeah, in how aggressive your opponent's being based on their positioning. But basically, as you're probably not a pro, that's why we want a big swing in that defensive to aggressive before we consider that a situation change. So we also want to consider a situation change whenever an enemy leaves or comes into vision. Again, as a pro, you would expect somebody to predict where that person is and sort of react depending on how long he's been gone and blah blah blah. But in our case, we're just going to go whenever somebody leaves or enters vision. So we've got posture change and leaves and enters vision. One thing we should also look at for situation changes is enemy's item and the HP and our own HP. So we also need to consider if they're low, could we burst them, something like that. Okay, so mostly the stuff I'm going to tell you will apply to all lanes. There is a huge amount we could go over in different lanes. Also, bear in mind, everything I tell you today, you have to bear it in mind in the larger context of positioning. There is no hard and fast rule, you must do this. So, I might tell you to do something that is good in 90% of situations, but it is bad in others, and there are things you have to. This is where the learning game sense comes in and learning awareness comes in, is that it's not always going to be a good decision. Even if I show you a perfect example here, it might be a bad decision in your situation. But at least if you learn these things, you will at least know what you're looking for in a situation, and you will be able to sort of apply that and adapt and improve your game sense. Whereas at the minute, if you just don't have any awareness of these things, then how do you improve on them? Okay, so first thing we'll talk about is posture, because we've mentioned posture a few times, and I'm sure a lot of you don't even know what posture is. Posture generally refers to somebody's body language, but in Dota, you can read a lot about what a player is thinking or what they're planning on doing and even where the enemy heroes are on the map based on where they position themselves and what their posture is. So there's aggressive posturing and there's defensive posturing. And so we'll take a quick example. I'm playing Treant Protector.
Oh, very well.
I'm going to posture aggressively. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stand here. Now, as a Treant, there are very few heroes in the game that can trade with me. I know this. I know Kunkka can't touch me. I mean, even if I didn't have these items, a normal build for Treant at the start would be like Stout Shield, Orb of Venom, something like that. Kunkka can't touch me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to position myself between him and the creep wave. Now this is aggressive posturing. What I am saying to him is, if you come and last hit, I'm going to hurt you. And if he was positioning himself down here, I would read the same about him. Now the downside to this, of course, is we leave ourselves open to ganks, because at the minute, you see, I've got no vision. I'm right next to the trees, so anyone coming out of there is going to be able to jump me. But I can see all 5 enemy heroes on the map currently, so it's okay. I can posture aggressively here, and it's safe for me to do that. And this is, you'll probably have heard of some of the pro players, if you watch them on stream, talk about bullying people. And this is what I'm doing. I am posturing aggressively in order to bully the Kunkka. Now I could stand a little bit further up to chase him out of XP range. And you see what I mean, he can't trade with me at all. So there's aggressive posturing. Now, you would only posture aggressively if you are confident that you can trade favorably with the enemy. Your intention is not to kill them. It is to put them in a situation where they will take more damage than you do. You have to be careful when you're doing this, because if you do right click them, you will take damage from the creeps. So you have to be careful of that. And you also have to be careful as we're looking for situation changes. One of the situation changes we need to look at is how many heroes can we see, and has anyone gone into the fog. So at the minute we can see 5 heroes. If, for example, we look at the map and there is nobody showing, we can't safely posture aggressively anymore, because somebody can come in from the jungle, and they can jump us before we have time to react. Now I'm a Treant, so they've got to commit a lot to be able to kill a Treant. But this is where another part of considering our positioning will come, is we can position ourselves to make ganks more difficult. For example, I'm going to stand over this side now. Let's get the next creep wave in, and we'll do it. So I'm going to stand over this side now. Now again, I am posturing aggressively. I'm putting myself in a position where Kunkka knows if he comes close he's going to take damage, but I'm now on the right hand side. And in most pub games, your gank is going to come from here. It is entirely possible for the gank to come from the shop. It does happen. It is possible. You could have a hero who's managed to sneak in there. But in most pub games, it's going to come from here. So what you want to do is you stand on the right, you walk in for any last hits, and then you back out. The downside to this is it generally is a longer walk to your tower. So if you do get successfully jumped, they manage to get a gank off on you, then it's going to be a longer run back to safety. But by positioning ourselves on the right hand side of the lane, in this lane, we make it very, very difficult to get close enough to kill us. Okay, so defensive posture now. Now, defensive posture is basically we position ourselves in such a way that if the enemy hits us, they're going to take damage from the creeps, and the enemy does not have a direct line between us and himself. So this is basically it. We hide behind the creeps. Now, depending on how dangerous our situation is, we can position ourselves just behind the creeps and we can run in. Just clear these out. Get it pushed. We can position ourselves completely behind the creep wave. and we can just sort of track it up like this. This is a mildly defensive posture if we sort of just sit behind the creep wave. And what we would do, if Kunkka walks here, we would walk here. And we're just trying to make sure that any time he wants to walk towards us, he's going to get hit by creeps, and he's got to walk around the creeps to get to us, meaning that he's got a long way to go before he actually gets to us. If now we don't see any heroes on the map and we think that a gank is happening, maybe we need to be even more defensive. So what we're going to do is we're going to position back away from the creep wave. Now, a lot of people don't like to do this because they think that you're going to lose out on all the experience and so on in the lane, and you're going to lose out on the gold. Now, the gold, it is totally acceptable to lose a creep wave's worth of gold if you think a gank is coming. A creep wave's worth of gold is not worth dying for, because dying, you lose about 300 gold, you give about 300 gold to the enemy. So there's a 600 gold, it's not quite 600, but it's a 600 gold swing in the enemy's favour if they manage to kill you. If you, for example, just sit out of lane, you're going to lose a creep wave worth of experience, maybe 2. And you bear in mind that, let's say the mid hero is ganking, he is going to lose the same gold that you do. So for your team, the gold gain is the sort of gold trade-off in what they lose and what you gain. It's exactly the same. The enemy's losing what you are. So basically what we're looking to do is position ourselves as far back as we can, but in experience range. Now the experience range is about 1400. Now you watch how look how far back I am. This is something you need to get used to. Wait until this creep dies. Watch my experience bar. See, that's going up.
Yes.
See, so I can actually be quite a long way back here, and I can still get experience. You imagine trying to gank me here. Ganking me here would be really hard. Now, when we talk about looking at the enemy's posture, this is how you can see a gank coming. When you are, let's say for example that the Razor would come down to gank. The Kunkka is currently posturing defensively. He's sitting back from his creep wave. He is afraid that I'm going to kill him. So he's sitting as far back as he can. He's posturing really defensively. If then he changes his posturing and he comes and runs up and sits behind his creep wave, he's still defensive, but he's further on that scale of being aggressive. So if he has been sitting a long way back and all of a sudden he's sitting right up in the creep wave, or if all of a sudden he comes and stands in a bullying position, what we can read from that is, okay, now he's posturing much more aggressively, even though he knows he can't trade from us. A gank must be happening. This is how you read somebody's posture, and you read their posture and you know to change yours from what they've done. So he comes round and he sits in a bullying position. He's very aggressive. So we know there's a gank happening, so we come and sit down here. Now, the chances are the gank will only be successful if the heroes in the lane help. But if they run all the way past the creep wave down to where I am down here, if you look at this, I'm still gaining XP all the way down here. But this is a full screen's width away, and I'm still at a full screen's height, and I'm still gaining XP.
I believe I will.
So they have got to run all this distance to get in range. Even if I've got a blink hero sitting here, there is no way these guys are going to be able to catch up, or at least not safely. We're going to force them to dive. What's probably going to happen is they are going to run. They're just going to have to leave. They're just going to waste their time. Let me just heal this purge. So, when we talk about a hero is baiting, what they're doing is they're hanging their ass out in a posturing position that looks too aggressive. You'll see if you watch pro games, you'll see the commentators, they'll see, like say, the Kunkka, for example, would come, and when he's been hanging back, he'll come and start last hitting. And the commentators will make a point that whoever's in lane against them will back off. And the commentators will point out to you whoever's in lane against the Kunkka has smelled a rat, and that's what they've done. They've read that guy's posture. Now, in a pub game, you would expect him to be very, very aggressive, or change a lot to it'll have to have changed a lot before you notice it. Now, we can also tell where people have wards by their posture, if they are smart. If they're not smart, you can't read anything anyway. So, let me just push this back up to the trees, and I'll show you what I mean.
A bit more barley.
Right. If we've got a ward here, or an enemy hero there, or a friendly hero there, we got vision there, right? So it is totally safe if I want to come and stand here, because I've got a ward here. I can see if a gank is coming from that direction, so it's probably better. I mean, a gank could come from here, so it's probably better if I stand on this side, because I can see there. If I don't have a ward there, I kind of want to hang out on the other side. Now, this would apply more so to the mid lane, where it's very likely you would get attacked from each side, but it does apply to all lanes as well. It's possible to gank all the lanes from all directions given the right setup. So, if our Kunkka, for example, has been spending most of his time on the right-hand side of the lane, and all of a sudden he has no problem coming and sitting on the left-hand side of the lane, that tells you one of two things. Firstly, he may have a ward here, which is giving him vision, so he's got the confidence to stand near trees, which is always a good thing because you can juke around trees, or there's an enemy hero standing there, giving him vision as well. So there's how you can read it. Okay, simple enough. So watch for people's positioning left and right in a lane where they are. It can give you information like that. Watch for people's positioning behind or in front of the creep wave and stuff like that. Okay, the other thing we can do is we can use reading people's posture to tell where wards are. So let's say, for example, a common place for wards is here. So let's say I'm trying to gank the Kunkka, and he's bullying our lane. He's right up, even in front of his creep wave, pushing the lane up. So, but I come walking through here, and he's got a ward here, and he sees it. So, what he's going to do from that, even if he doesn't lead the lane, because he might be confident enough, he might have somebody else here who'll help him. If he doesn't lead the lane, if he's going to move from an aggressive position down here to a defensive position over here, we know he's seen us. We know if he did that as I walk through here, there's a very good chance he saw the wall. So we can use people's positioning to determine what they saw on the map. So we can read his posture as becoming more defensive, and that tells us something scared him. And if that thing is probably us because we were spotted by a ward. I think I'm gonna end this video on killing this Dazzle, or dying for it. Okay, so I think I'm gonna end it there, guys. It could go over a million other things in positioning. I'm probably gonna make a couple more videos. We'll make some lane-specific videos that go into a little bit more detail later. I just wanted to give you guys like a head start on learning to read an enemy's posture and how that should affect your positioning relative to the enemies. So I know I've not covered everything here. I just a quick overview to get you started, and we'll talk more detail about it in a future video that's lane and role specific. So thanks for watching, guys. Please let me know how useful you found this, and keep your eyes out for the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye bye.